Hello, Miss Liz Cross. As you see, we don't have, I know what she looks like for the first time she showed me today. She is gorgeous. But she can't because, she has done a lot of work for law enforcement and, she don't want the mob after her and other people after her. So we don't show her face because it's important for the security of herself and her family. Anyway, so we are going to talk about, hi, Erik, Erik's past lives.
This is exciting. Hi, Mom.
Hi,
He's
sweetheart.
excited.
Good. Well, can you describe the very first, most significant life? There's not linear time, but the one that would correlate with what we consider linear time that most influenced you?
So, Erik is telling me that he has had many, many, many past lives, and you two have been together many times in previous lives. He's actually been your father before. He's actually been, your sibling before. It's just been, a whole bunch of different lifetimes. Now, he wants to show me this lifetime where he was a bear. And you were also a bear.
Wow.
And you two times were really difficult. I feel like the region was scarce with food. But there was a lot of doubt that was going on, like, should we migrate? Shouldn't we migrate? Should we? Shouldn't we? And he says, Mom, you and I, it was just the two of you in that lifetime, and you both decided to migrate. And by doing that, by making that transition, he said it was a really powerful decision because previous lifetimes you hadn't made those decisions. It was always a lot of fear based around those decisions, but you transitioned and you flourished into this new region. And he says that's why we can transition into new roles so easily.
Oh, okay.
Which is what you have
transitioned. Done. We transitioned, you mean we migrated, right?
As in
it flourished.
Yes, but you easily go from one role to the next.
Oh, okay. I see that for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And not transitioning off the airplane, but talking about like we adapt to change really well. So that was a very important lifetime that was structured around being malleable and being able to change, which you do really well, by the way.
Yeah, I've had so many roles throughout this particular lifetime. So yeah, interesting. Wow. I wonder if that has anything to do with the fact that, Erik, you, of all my children, have looked different, so different, radically throughout various phases of your life. Yeah, up and above and beyond just the fact of getting older. It's just like you look different, from even 5 years to within a span of 2 years at a time.
Yes, and he likes that aspect about himself, right?
Yeah, right.
You should have a psychic artist come on the show and actually do a sketch of Erik as he is now.
Oh, wow. How would you describe him, Liz?
Well, he's wearing a green t-shirt and to me, he's just like so boyish. Like he's just adventurous. His hair it looks like he's been outside playing, like boys do. That's how he wants to come across, like, just full of spirit and full of adventure and full of life and not afraid. You know how boys are, they're risk takers,
right? Exactly.
They'll climb trees and hang from the branches and jump from furniture.
I have a picture of him up way high up in a tree when he was like 4 years old.
Right. So he's still very adventurous.
Yeah.
And he likes to keep that role. He's always been like that.
And being adventuresome, that was us migrating to a different region. That shows that you are adventurous, right?
Yes, and what is so interesting, it's very representative of your lifetime now.
Okay.
Your lifetime now, you both transitioned, but obviously in very different ways.
Yeah.
But you're both working towards the same goal. He says, Mom, if I
True.
was on the earth plane, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
None of it.
That's true.
You know, you would have carried on working like a dog, he says.
Mm.
And he would have just carried on living life, and there would not have been this migration into our new roles.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Interesting. Were we ever in Atlantis together? I've been told that.
yes, as energetic beings, yes. You two are very old souls.
Oh, okay.
I feel like
it.
your husband came along later.
So energetic beings, what do you mean by that? Can you tell us a little bit more about our life in Atlantis, or maybe we had more than one? I don't know.
Well, you had several energetic lifetimes. So what he's telling me is the fact that you basically went, a lot of those lifetimes during Atlantis were energetic bodies, etheric bodies, but not an actual like physical body
Whoa,
with,
wow.
you know, skin and bones and all of that. And you existed very well there. That's why the Atlanteans became so advanced, because they were not held down by bodies. They were not held down by gravity, time, and space, and a lot of the existence that took place there.
Yeah.
And
some, I guess, did have bodies, right?
Did some have bodies? There were various forms of different bodies, but not as we know it today.
Okay. Interesting. So what were our roles? Or at least we're talking about your past life, really. What was your role in Atlantis?
What was your role in Atlantis? Wow. He always works alongside you.
Oh, what did we do together then?
What did you do together?
That's interesting. Like
you were healers. You were healers in that lifetime too. Wow. That's amazing.
That is cool. You're healing from over there. I'm healing from here. That's so remarkable. Did we have any, or did you at least, we were probably together, have any galactic lives that you want to share?
Did you have any off the Earthling Galactic lives? There are a few lifetimes that he would like to share. One is, you know, where he was originally cut from source. Now, this is a really powerful moment in all of our lifetimes, where we are, you know, source takes a little piece of us and generates takes a little piece of himself, and generates his, you know, a soul.
Yeah.
And that actually for Erik was a very painful moment. Wow. And he felt quite lost. Some people have, you know, different reactions to that moment.
All of a sudden you felt separated? Is that the illusion of separation kicked in, and it was grief invoking or something?
Was it grief? Yes, there was an element of grief there, feeling lost. It's like, well, I was part of a, you know, collective, source collective, and now I have to exist on my own. So it's about carving out your own identity from scratch.
Oh.
And that's not easy. But he says, you know what? You came along immediately after. So you two have always been, I feel, very close, very close.
Very, always. I always would just, you know, when he was alive, just be caught just staring at him in wonder. I was just like, wow. I love my kids, all of them, but there was this this thing that I just couldn't stop looking at him and being amazed by him, you know?
Have you two been a soul family longer than all of the no, I feel like you all came along around the same time, but you and Erik are always very close. You always seem to have the same roles, or you seem to assist each other in the roles.
Okay.
Most of the time you have been into medicine and healing. You were a midwife, or if you want to call it that. I don't even know if it had that technical term back then. And Erik was also there assisting you. So he's always been like an apprentice to you.
Interesting. So you split off from Source. What was the first body you came into in the life you lived?
That's a good question. What was the first body that you came into life? He came in as the very first body was like some sort of amoeba or germ, but the existence wasn't, because it was all about pure survival, right? And mutating and surviving, and mutating and surviving. And he says that lifetime was very powerful because obviously you had to learn how to survive. That was the whole idea. And he learned a lot from that lifetime. It wasn't a very long lifetime.
I can't imagine.
He lived in water, and he did the job that he was supposed to do.
What, cause amoebic dysentery in people? maybe there were no people on the earth at that time. Probably not. You were primordial soup.
Right. But fish, aquatic life, they're exposed to diseases and infections as well. So that was part of the lesson. And it was all about ensuring survival. And then he's had a lot of interesting lifetimes as well. He was a camel before, he says, and we trekked across the desert, you and he. And in that lifetime, what is interesting is I see you as a human and he's the camel.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Yeah, you're leading him. You're always leading him.
Oh, wow.
You're always the leader that he looks up to.
Oh, my baby. But you were my father once, so you must have had some leadership there guiding me, right?
Yes, but really he was the type of father who let his children lead and grow.
Now, why is that? Why weren't you the leader sometime?
He didn't really have the confidence, he says. That was something, the life lesson or the soul lesson that he needed to learn, was having confidence.
Uh-oh. Wait, what is this? This is not supposed to be Andrea Sides. I gotta let this lady know that we have a session at 11. So I don't know what's going on. She must have got the time zone wrong. Let me pause recording just for a second. And let me admit her into the room.
All right.
It's someone new that, Okay, where were we?
I can't remember. The information comes in and it just goes out.
Oh, I know.
Confidence.
Oh, yeah, confidence. Now, why is that? Is that because of the painful separation from Source?
Ooh, is it? That's part of it. Yes, that's part of it. He says even in this lifetime he's just had, he had trouble with confidence. He had trouble with confidence.
Yeah.
He says that is a life lesson that I keep repeating. And it's a life lesson that I don't know how to resolve. I try to resolve each time. And that's an issue for him.
Well, I tried my best to, help you with your confidence throughout that life. So we'll keep working on it together, okay? After a long rest, please.
Your scalar service is not just limited to those on the earth plane.
He said that before. Maybe I could do scalar services on him. Wow.
Absolutely. You can do a scalar service. He's saying, please, Mom. You could
Okay.
do a scalar service on that lack of confidence.
Okay.
That would be interesting for you to do. And then we check back in to see if it's been resolved.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to do that. Awesome. Got a note. All right. So, what can you tell me about your first life as a human?
First life as a human. Very primitive, very caveman like. You were also there. Now, here I see your husband, actually.
Okay.
Which is interesting. And there's a lot of children.
Oh,
You
really?
do always had a lot of
Just like now. Just like now. So, who was who?
You were the mom and your husband was the dad.
Okay.
And you have how many daughters were there? There were at least 4 daughters in that lifetime. 2 boys again, 2 boys. There were a lot of stillbirths in that lifetime as well.
Yeah, I had one. Yeah, so it doesn't surprise me. Yeah. So, and you were my son, or were you a stillbirth, or were you a daughter?
Were you he was a son. He was a son. All right. And it was all about surviving together. You would all forage for food. But what is interesting is you didn't let them go very far from your sight. Even as they were juveniles, even as they were going into young adults, you all always stayed really, really close.
Why?
Really close.
Did something happen in another life to me with my children that made me more paranoid and cautious? Or was it just the way I am, as personality?
I think it was personality.
Okay.
I think that it was, safety in numbers, which in those times, it really was about safety in numbers. Your chances of survival with others was much higher than on your own, is what Erik is telling me.
Okay.
And it was a good lifetime that you all had together.
Good. Did we have any major challenges or incidents besides the stillbirths, whatever?
The stillbirth. There were injuries.
Okay.
Your husband broke his leg, so that was pretty difficult.
He broke his leg when he was 8 this lifetime, so that's interesting.
Oh my goodness. We keep repeating these things over and over.
Anything else in that lifetime of significance?
Food was difficult. Warmth was difficult. And again, here you are as a healer. You're putting things together. I can see you like mashing berries and things together, leaves, almost like a pestle and mortar type of implement. And you are patching people up. So even back then, you were doing that. And here's Erik right there learning from you. Wow. I feel like the other children were not very interested. They were more interested in, the females were interested in like childbirth and mating of themselves. Yeah. There were like introductions to another caveman family.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so they had a lot of children. So I feel like your children married their children. And here you start growing a community through the generations. Now, it looks very cold in this region to me.
Okay. Where is it? Like Northern Europe or something?
Is this in Northern Europe? I feel like this is almost Russia area. Okay. Russia, maybe around that area. And the weather was very hot.
That's what I was getting. It was like, let me, on a Zoom.
Russia was very harsh. The weather was difficult. Food was difficult. And it was really about learning to gather food, to store that food, to learn how to make fire, which that's interesting to me because obviously from very early on, humans had learned how to make fire.
Interesting.
Did you eat a lot of meat in that lifetime? Yes, you did. A lot of meat and fish.
Okay, some say that Neanderthals were, and we should mind probe a Neanderthal, be fun, were cannibals. Maybe just ritualistic. I don't know. Maybe they just ate their dead to survive. Who knows?
Were Neander? Yes, that's correct. They would. Were you you all were not cannibals, but there were certainly, if food was scarce, this is where you start to get a bit of like caveman warfare.
Oh yeah.
Right? Where, okay, we need food and they're living bodies. There was none of this be kind, help one another.
Oh yeah, no, it's all about survival. It's humans. It's the other white meat.
Right.
Instead of pork. Okay, so can you tell me about how many lives do you think you've had, Erik?
How many lives do you think? Thousands.
Wow. Okay. Can you tell me one of your most significant lives as a human being?
You all were quite wealthy a couple of 100 years ago.
Okay.
I feel it was your, what are you saying? Your grandfather? Your father,
Okay.
Elisa, was a businessman.
Okay.
He had some sort of bank or one of the early banks, and you also had shops.
Okay.
You also had shops.
Where was this and when?
Where was this? Was this in the US? No, this is in Europe.
Okay.
And when was this? Is this in the 1817? I feel like 16 to 1700s.
Okay.
And he said, but that lifetime was too easy for us.
Like more of those. That's fine. You gotta have some easy ones. And so was that significant in that we made a mutual decision to come back and have more hardships for growth purposes? Is that why this easy one was significant?
It was too easy. Yes. We got to the other side and we're like, okay, what did we learn? Scratching our heads, really.
Okay.
Not a lot.
Oh, interesting.
So we decided not to recreate that lifetime again.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
We like to work.
Okay.
We like to work. That lifetime, you didn't really have to work. It was kind of just sitting around living off the riches of your father.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was very sort of aimless, he says. And we're not aimless people.
No. So we like work. We like hard work, or we like work on our soul growth, or both?
Both. Okay. And being aimless, you always like to have a destiny, a journey. Now
I cannot stand being idle.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Yeah. Because from that lifetime, you guys were kind of just sitting around. You had servants, you had maids, you had nannies. Everyone was well taken care of. Your father was very prominent in the town.
Okay.
I also feel like he was an elected official.
Okay.
And he made loads of money. So nobody had to really work. And he says all we did was just like sit around. And that was about it.
Were you my brother or sister, Erik?
He was your son.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
He was your son in that lifetime. You had 4 children in that lifetime.
Wow.
And again, you had stillbirths in that lifetime.
Yeah. What did we transition from, Erik? Both you and me.
Transition from, as in?
Like die. What was our death?
Consumption.
Oh, wow. Okay. TB.
Oh, TB. Okay, yes, consumption. So and it actually wiped out the whole family.
Wow. Dang. Okay. On that cheery note, all right. So, how old were we?
You actually lived, Elisa, till you were in your 70s,
Okay.
which is quite remarkable back then.
Back then, yeah. What about you, Eric?
And he was in his 40s.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Totally.
He also had children in that lifetime.
Okay. And they died of consumption too?
Did the children the children did survive,
Okay.
but then they had to go live with another family,
Oh, yeah.
which turned out actually to be their soul family. You guys were not their soul family.
Oh,
They
interesting.
ended up being born into your household,
Yeah. Okay.
but then they had to go into another household, which was their soul family. But the reason they were born into your household is because you all had somewhat of medical care at that time, which a
Okay.
lot of women did not have. And so it was easier for them to come in and survive and actually survive the childbirth. This is Erik's wife in that lifetime,
Okay.
survived the childbirth, but that's because you were there as well. And you made sure you had, money for doctors and,
Oh,
and
yeah.
all, everything that was needed. You had the best people there. So it ensured the survival of these children that were born into your family. And then obviously they had to migrate into their regular soul family. That's interesting to me because people find their soul families in all ways, shapes, and forms, right?
Right.
Just because you're born into one family doesn't mean that that family is actually your soul family.
Yeah.
If
Interesting.
you're adopted, your adopted family could be your soul family, but for whatever reason, you needed the DNA of the people that you were born, from your
Biological. Yeah.
biological. It's so interesting to me when you start looking at past lives like
Well,
this.
I love it. It's awesome. Hey, let's break and we'll start a part 2. It'll be a short one because we're running out of time, but this is fascinating. You guys, be sure you check out Liz in the description box. We're going to put a link there so you can get in touch with her. Most of you. And private joke between us. Anyway, yeah, and yeah, be sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next part. Bye.